very spectacular lap. This is Kevin Bartlett's pole-sitting lap yesterday amid all the rain, the slush running across the road. It requires very few words from Gary and myself. Just listen to the engine rev as Bartlett goes up, across and down the mountain. It was just incredible. Here he coming in to complete his one lap was to give him pole position and a titch under $10,000. Kevin Bartlett.
James Hardy 1000. What must be thinking now? The crews have got everything organised. It's now left to the drivers as they sit there.
For the 1981 James Hardy 1000.
5.
We have touch-off for the 81 Hardy 1000.
Johnson
And it's
flying.
Dick Johnson of Queensland who leads from Kevin Bartlett going into the first turn. And just look at that wall of cars. All trying to find a way around that corner. 60 starts. starters as they go through the turn. Let's make sure it is an incident-free first corner.
Johnny Harvey's made a great start, slipped through inside of Bobby Morris and is up in 4th place behind Johnson, Bartlett, Brock, then Harvey, then Morris.
Standing on the gas, Dick Johnson, but Bartlett is coming to him as they speed up Mountain Straight.
Up the top, up the mountain, across the top. Bartlett was enormously quick up there in yesterday's runoff, despite the wet. How quick can he be today in the drive?
Just look at the passing on the straight as they go through there. Now through GTX. That takes them along and they wind their way now up the mountain with this tremendous duel going for the lead with Dick Johnson and Kevin Bartlett. Up now to the cutting, down through the gears, almost stopping for a moment to turn left. Through the cutting. And now heading onto the steepest part of the mountain. Then, of course, the flat run right across the top of the mountain.
Minute 18 seconds to the top of the mountain, the cross skyline for Dick Johnson.
Dick Johnson is the race leader. In second place, pole sitter Kevin Bartlett, and Peter Brock is third. Now down through the tricky, the torturous part of the racetrack. Working away hard is Dick Johnson. He's running for broke out in front. And you can imagine the tremendous delight of the spectators along pit straight when the first lap is completed, and almost a little sideways coming out of the turn and working away at the front straight, Conrod Straight. Dick Johnson and Kevin Bartlett. The comparison between their two cars will be fairly evident. Alan Moffat, who lost a little in the opening lap, the big V8s gobbled up Moffat's Mazda, but he's sitting back there in about 12th or 13th position. Dice continues down the straightaway as we wait for them to come on in. And it's big Kev Bartlett, who has comes into the pit area, and certainly an unscheduled pit stop. Okay, he's now in.
And Brock in the pits. They're checking with the driver to see just what the trouble is. It's the back tyre. Peter taking some of the fruit juice there, speaking to Bruce Nowacki at the moment. I won't go near him. He's a lot on his mind of such an early stop. He did have a coming together with Kevin Bartlett. It may just have been some rubbing at the back there. They've added fuel, but that was merely to top up and take full advantage of it. I'll have a word to Bruce Nowacki now.
Okay, have we got Bruce Nowacki there, Evan?
Very important.
Up the top of the mountain, Dick Johnson leads from Bartlett. What a race of changes. The pit row. Holden Dealer Team encampment. There he is. By gee, this is a shock.
That now puts a ton of pressure on John Harvey and Vern Schuppan. Whether or not that driving pairing will be split later in the day by Brock stepping into the car, we'll have to wait and see. The K-Tel Jag. Talking about John Goss, here he is heading up the top of the mountain. The big Jag, the V12, carrying a fair amount of weight. And they've been trying to develop this car here at Bathurst over the past few days. Almost coming together. That's very close indeed. As the brown car goes through, that's the Re-Car entry. Heading up the top of the mountain. Looks like another one of the Re-Cars, so they've got it nicely squashed in between the pair of them as they head up there. Sweeping up into the mountain. Looks like all the networks were represented here today. Johnny Goss for 10 and also for K-Tel and the V12 Jaguar. But he's made the top 10 so far, so that's a fairly handy place for Goss to be. This car surprised a lot of people with its performance, initial performance at Sandown Park a few weeks ago. And Goss is in there. And splitting the two Re-Car team Commodores.
Wide there, Goss, but then it's a very wide car. Takes an awful lot of room on the racetrack, but has an awful lot of power. And is running as well as Gossie's ever been able to get it to run. Let's hope it continues for him, because he deserves a change of luck. Through that very sharp left-hander there, the bottom drops out of the roadway. Quite a jolt, travelling at those speeds.
We'll
be able to see the speed of the Jag on Conrod Straight now. We've got 2 team Commodores, the 2 Recar team cars. And we'll see what Goss can do with the pair of them as they head down Conrod Straight, keeping in mind laps in this race are sponsored for Coca-Cola bottlers in the first segment, Ingersoll Rand in the second. Then, of course, Wynn's Friction Proofing have a $5,000 award to the pit crew of the car, completing the fastest time over a secret 10-lap section of the race. This is a new innovation by Wynn's Friction Proofing to give some incentive back, some financial incentive to the pit crew members. So $5,000 is certainly plenty of pit crew incentive.
And the Jags left the 2 Commodores behind down the straight.
He did that quite nicely. So he certainly has the top end speed for Conrod Straight, as one would expect him to have. It seems to be running quite nicely indeed. Johnny Goss and the Jag are back into motorsport. That's a good sign for touring car racing.
We've got a clock on Johnny Goss. We'll just see how he goes round next time. Meantime, Bobby Morris comes in.
That's parked up there. That's not too good either. Okay, troubles would it be for Kevin Bartlett? We'll wait to see. Yes, it looks like Kevin Bartlett is coming into the pit area. Our report is that he has a deflating left-hand front tyre. Let's just see how quickly the crew can get onto this job. That's going to put Johnson out in front with a comfortable edge over Bobby Morris at this stage. Okay, the crew, have jumped over one of the air jacks driving in. So Bartlett, by this stage, has overshot the pit area. This is precious time. Fuel coming out very, very quickly indeed. Dumping fuel in the car and going to replace tyres. We'll wait and see. Bartlett's in the machine, trying to lift it up and get a new front wheel and tyre on. There it is. You see the crew very quickly working with air guns. So whether or not misfortune certainly has beset Peter Brock, who led this race, and now Kevin Bartlett, who was leading. That's putting Dick Johnson out in front, as I said, with a comfortable edge. We'll go trackside now to Evan Green. Evan, can you fill us in on exactly what's happened?
Well, here's a great deal of heat as they try to swing the air scoops away to get into. Change the wheel, the tyre.
Okay.
But winding the wheel on, you can see that desperate effort to try and unhook the metal. That fellow's going to get himself burnt hands there. It's very hot in there with all the heat from those front disc brakes. There's some dismantling now having to go on. They're trying to work from the inside of the guard so that they can get that metal clear. An oil line has just been disconnected. We're sprayed with hydraulic fluid here. I suspect they're trying to disconnect the brake on this side. Other side, they say not so. I'll see if I can speak to Kevin. He's a bit remote from it. I'll go over here. Kevin, can you spare us a moment? Very frantic times in those early laps. Too hard, or does the car feel like going?
Fine. It's just a complete and utter amateur nincompoop got in the way and turned right, turned straight across my path, put me straight into the fence, and I took him, mate. That guy has to be black flag. I'm going to punch him in the mouth when the race is over, and that's a fact.
And he said that with some authority.
Having conversation with co-driver Bobby Morris. You can see the damage on the guard. The fiberglass extension has been cracked. The paint from the other car there.
For 7 minutes they've been there. And they're going to be there a lot longer by the look of that.
I think a very distraught Kevin Bartlett. That's his co-driver Bob Forbes trying to console him. I think Evan wanted to have a talk. Okay, well, let's go down to Evan Green.
What's the story, Kevin?
The fellow in the Recar car, Ron Wanless, turned right on me, going up the pinch out of XL. I was right alongside him, actually passing him with about 10 mile an hour on board, and he just moved straight over on me. And it was either him or the fence. I got him, but of course, when I hit him, his guard flares or his wheel punctured one of my tyres. And
What damage has been done?
well, when the tyre went, it tore a brake line off. The brakes look fantastic. If you have a look at the pad width, there's just absolutely none at all at the moment. The car was just so good. I was so happy with it, and I was doing it easy. The tyres will go through 2 stops. However,
How much work's going to be done now?
just a new brake line. They take about half an hour. Oh no, about 15 minutes to fit.
I was looking for the wheel which is around there, but I think it's been moved.
Well, that was simply a matter that the punctured tyre, and I had to get back to the pits, and the punctured tyre just flew apart. That's all.
Now, Kevin, you just walked up to the Ron Wanderers pits. What message did you deliver up there? Because you look fairly belligerent.
Well, I went to find out who was driving it. I was going to punch the guy in the mouth. When I found out it was Ron Wanderers, I thought I'd better back off a little. His next boxer, he might flatten me.
Kevin hasn't lost his sense of humour. Well, wretched luck for Kevin Bartlett. It's part of racing. You certainly have things wrapped up, and then all of a sudden he's also back to Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Johnson, of course, lives in Brisbane, just outside of Brisbane at Daisy Hill. Very unpretentious place. Dick Johnson, not like the regular teams, the big budget teams, does all of the work on his car with one mechanic at home. Dick Johnson can probably explain his own story.
Actually, before Bathurst last year, when the famous rock incident happened, I was always a dedicated motor racer. For many years, I've been racing for 15 odd years, and Bathurst actually last year set us going. We had a car that we'd built over a period of 6 months from an ex-police car that we ran reasonably well at the CRC in 1980 and came second, which was its first showing. And we arrived at Bathurst pretty confident of what the car was capable of. And naturally, everyone that knows about the rock destroyed the whole car, and we had to start again. Actually, our setup is quite a bit different to the majority of the larger teams, because we only have a 1 or 2 man operation here, which is at my own home. We're fortunate enough to be in an area where it doesn't affect anyone. Our neighbours never complain because we don't make any noise or anything like that. Well, as you can see, it's a reasonably small workshop, which is a garage of my home, where everything else suffers actually, because my actual road car gets left outside and the race car takes pride of place in the workshop. And we have our racks of tyres. We have to have everything reasonably well set up because of the confined space that we're working in, because things can tend to get pretty cluttered at times. But with the operation we had straight after Sandown, my mechanic Roy McDonald and myself, we jumped in the truck and we drove straight back from Sandown after the race and drove straight through to Brisbane here, where we continued to pull the car to pieces and get it ready for the James Hardie 1000 this weekend. Well, winning the James Hardie 1000 to me virtually means everything, because when I start and do something, I don't normally like to stop until such time as I've achieved what I've originally set out to do. And one of the things that I intended doing is winning the James Hardie 1000, not once, not twice, but I want to win it 6 times, because Brock's won it 5 times, and I just want to be better than anyone else.
Prophetic words from Dick Johnson. There you had an opportunity to see how Dick Johnson puts his racing, but he's in 3rd place overall. We'll take a break and return to the James Hardie 1000 live from Mount Panorama.
Track's blocked.
We have an enormous traffic jam. We've had a horrendous crash at the top of the mountain. By the look of it, Bobby Morrison, number 7 is around sideways, 57 is there, one of the Recar team cars. We have an absolute blocked track at the top of the mountain.
Damage at all.
There's the view from Alan Grice's car. He's there, car 44. He's just stopped. He's not in damage, but there are a number of cars. Bob Morris's car is there. Bob Morris going so hard trying to get up the lead. In 2nd place, car 4, the Recar car, Alan Brown and Taddy Edmondson is involved.
There's another one there. Looks like 57. A little hard to pick from here.
Welcome back to our telecast. During the break, we have had an accident on the top of the mountain. The race at this stage, as you can see, has stopped. Bob Morris, who was running second in the race, is one of the drivers involved. We've had absolute drama here. The track is completely blocked. A replay of it for you.
Well, Christine Cole is involved. She was very early there. You can see Christine on the left. Bob Morris came along. He spun there, the car going backwards. Christine was involved first with another car. There are cars on the other side. Alan Brown, one car just coming in the back, slowing down. I think it might be David Selden on the far side as well. In the smaller car, maybe a Gemini across there. Let's have a look at that again in a little while. We can, Mike, just to try and pick up who got into stop. But Christine Cole, as she was. Christine Gibson now certainly involved. I think she's okay as they're being held back.
Okay?
That's in the crowd. Some people shocked by the confusion of the scene here. The track is completely blocked. We have Alan Grice in car 44 talking there.
No worries, mate. How's your leg, all right?
Huh?
How's your leg?
I think I broke something in the hip.
A bit of a bump on the hip?
Yeah, I braced myself.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Bartlett, of course, has an artificial hip joint from a previous accident in the Lola. He suffered an accident in New Zealand. Thinks he may have broken the joint in his hip.
KB's okay. He said he's bruised his hip on the hip brace in his car. He's okay. It doesn't appear to me as though anybody else is damaged. When I arrived on the scene, there wasn't a great deal of activity trying to get people out of motor cars, so I can only assume that they've all safely got out. There's
parked on top of a mountain.
There's Kevin Bartlett's Chevy Camaro, which was an early leader of the race, doing sensational times out of the race.
Yeah, there's the front of KB's car.
Yes.
The front of Chris's car.
We've just passed David Selden's car.
Talika, yeah. Bob Morris. I'd say there's probably, just doing a big sum in my head, there's probably something in the order of...
And work its way through the fire, and we could have a flat and cause another accident, you know, so we've got to... I just hope they clear that all up and that I don't think having any of the debris on the way through.
Right, we're just watching now some of the helpers manhandling the Clive Benson Brown Commodore, the car that was leading much of the race off the track. The front wheels are splayed out and the front is a sorry mess. The back mudguard has been ripped off, the flare, a racing slick there, going up through a sea of foam onto the back of the lifter. It's terrible to see cars that were, you know, the pride of so many people, just so recently now destroyed literally to tatters, to wreckage.
Well, I feel sorry for them, Evan, because like the Benson Brown car, it's done the most amazing job. I don't think anybody expected the car to be so competitive, and Rogers drove so well. I was watching him on the monitor during my break, and he drove absolutely well, and ran that magnificently. And Bob Morris, I feel for Bob. I could almost break into tears like he does, you know.
What we're doing now is looking at Christine Gibson's car and the back of a car that I can't even identify at the moment. It's it's a little HDT, yeah, the Isuzu, the Gemini 57 is being thumped so hard. Bob Morris's car. It's a David Selden car.
Oh, dear.
Bob Morris says, well, goodness me, Bob has taken some hard hits there. He looked as though he was nipping. Someone said he had sore legs. I can believe that because...
announcement regarding the race is to be made within a matter of seconds, so we'll cross down there.
With the decision on the fate of the race from the Australian Racing Drivers Club, Ivan Stibbard.
Well, the decision is that the race is now concluded. We have covered 120 laps, and the regulations say that after 60% of the distance has been covered and the red flag is used, the race must be declared. We cannot have a restart.
Well, that means that Dick Johnson is the winner under those conditions?
Yes, he has won.
Ivan, what reports have you had from the top of the mountain?
Nation in the Falcon number 17 in first place. The Channel 7 Falcon of Bob Morris and John Fitzpatrick in second. The amazing Mazda peripheral ported RX-7 number 43 of Alan Moffat and Derek Bell in third. The number 11 Commodore in fourth place, Gary Rogers and Clive Benson Brown. In fifth place, the Alan Brown, Tony Edmondson Commodore. In sixth place, the Moore Gibson entry that, of course, you've seen involved in that accident. In seventh place, the John Player BMW, Alan Grice and David Hobbs. In eighth,
rain out of this situation here at Mount Panorama following the conclusion of the James Hardy 1000 1981, the premature conclusion. Fortunately, not a tragic conclusion, almost could have been. One of the cars that was involved in the thick of all that action on the top of the mountain was the Commodore Car 4 of Alan Brown and Tony Edmondson. Tony Edmondson was in the car at the time, and I have Alan Brown here with me in our pit studio at the time. It must have been a heart stopper even though you weren't in the car, Alan.
Well, that's right. I was in the pits ready to get in with the hat on and the whole bit. 2 laps to go, and we were looking good. Everything had planned out well for the day. We were running 5th, looking at 4th for about a car length, and I looked round, saw the monitor, and I thought, gee, Morris is in, terrific. All of a sudden, I didn't mean terrific, but you know, he's out or whatever.
You didn't mean terrific.
No,
but
no,
you did
that's
mean
right.
terrific.
No, I didn't. I just thought, I saw him out of the race.
Yes, I know
the next thing I saw was somebody hit him, but it was our car. So it was bad luck. But Tony's all right. He's a bit sore around the ribs.
Where is he now?
He's down at the doctor at the moment. They're checking him out. His bum's a bit sore. I don't know what's, yeah. So we just got to check that out.
I know at this stage it's a minor consideration given the circumstances, but what about the damage to the vehicle, or have you not had a chance to even look at it?
No, the car's a write-off. But luckily we're panel beaters, so I guess we can fix it or do something with it.
Well, Alan Brown can smile, and I guess most of the people that have come out of this situation here at Mount Panorama this afternoon are smiling as well. Thanks very much, Alan Brown. Tony Edmondson, as Alan has just told us, is down at the hospital getting a checkup, but apart from some very sore ribs, is apparently okay. Let's go back now to Mike Raymond.
Yeah, the whole of the Bathurst 1000 has been stopped by an accident. It's unbelievable. And because I'm sitting here now still wondering what the heck I'm doing here.
Well, they're moving cars around now, and I suppose it gives the driver a time to reflect and think, why am I involved in this sport? There are the good times and there are the sad times. We're looking at one of the sad machines. It's the Camaro of Kevin Bartlett's going back down the mountain.
What a shame. I just can't believe it. I saw Bob Morris, who'd done such a brilliant job, first time out. Kevin, who was driving as good as Kevin can drive, and then, of course, I think I saw the Benson Brown car, Gary Rogers, that took the first place so well, and all destroyed in one big... I didn't even know what happened, but it's just so sad. And I suppose now when they drop the flag on...
Johnson and French.
Words were declared by Ivan Sibbard that the race had been officially declared finished and that Dick Johnson was the winner. That's the way to win a race, but you were front-running at the time, and I guess that's what counts.
Well, the car